In the barbarous world of Berserk, strength, conviction, and sheer madness are often the deciding factors in battle. Battles in Berserk aren't heroic duels, they're brutal, unforgiving clashes where hesitation means death. Guts himself embodies this. His entire existence is a struggle to keep going, to outlast enemies who should, by all logic, be stronger than him. But this is a testament to the fact that some of the most dangerous characters in Berserk aren't just physically powerful, they have an unshakable will that lets them defy even the most impossible of odds. And this brings us to today's matchup. I wanted to devise an insane hypothetical fight that pits two of the series' most monstrous and fanatical characters against each other. This is going to be an ongoing segment on my channel that I'm proud to call Berserk Battles. Today's Berserk battle will be featuring Wyald, the sadistic leader of the Black Dog Knights, versus Father Mozgus, the zealous executioner of the Holy See. Both of these characters are absolutely terrifying in their own right, but I'm curious who would come out on top in a head-to-head battle. Today I'm going to be breaking down their personalities, strengths, abilities, intelligence, and weaknesses to determine who the ultimate victor would be. Preference this, in my opinion, because God knows, that certainly isn't objective.
Stick to what you know, and leave your opinions wherever the fuck.
But with all this out of the way, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Feel free to like and subscribe if you do so, and feel free to also drop some comments below suggesting more characters for the Berserk Battle series on my channel. And with this said, let's get into it. So, beginning to talk about personality, where the hell do I even begin with Wyald? Wyald is a chill guy. Wyald likes to make life fun. Wyald likes to make life stimulating. No guys, in reality, Wyald is...
He's the devil.
To put it lightly, Wyald is a piece of shit. He is pure chaos. He is hedonism personified, an amalgamation of Epstein, Diddy, and Vlad the Impaler. Just for more context, I can't even show you guys half of the manga panels Wyald appears in without heavily censoring them, just because of the amount of violence and, you know, the R word that YouTube loves so much. But getting back to his personality, Wyald is essentially an animal in human form. His only interest is in carnage, and even his loyalty to the King of Midland is superficial at best. And on the other hand, we have Father Mozgus, who I would say is a slightly better person than Wyald if it wasn't for the fact that he was running fucking Abu Ghraib. This is a manga panel so disgusting and perverse that I can't even show it to you guys without heavily censoring it, but I think you guys get the overall point. But Father Mozgus is essentially the embodiment of religious fanaticism, and unlike Wyald being more of a reckless brute, Mozgus's violence is methodical. Mozgus genuinely believes that his executions and tortures are righteous acts. His unwavering faith gives him an almost supernatural level of conviction, which makes him relentless. But despite his rigid belief system, Mozgus is not mindless. He understands the power of fear and control. But to sum it up, in short, Wyald is driven by sadistic pleasure and brute force, while Mozgus is fueled by unshakable faith and divine righteousness. One fights because he wants to, and the other because he must. So now we have to break down their combat abilities. Starting off with Wyald, he's a physical monster. He's probably blasting some gear, maybe Diana Ball, Anadrol, maybe eating those Trenbolone sandwiches from the God Hand. But in all seriousness, Wyald is an absolute beast. Even in his human form, he towers over most men and tears through enemies effortlessly. Additionally, in his human form, Wyald was even able to catch God's sword within his teeth just to flex on him. Wyald has all sorts of different feats. He's able to crush a man's skull with 2 fingers, he's able to break apart a boulder with just his fist, he's able to push a tree out of the ground with 1 hand, he's demonstrated resistance to fire, and he's able to block and parry all of God's attacks using nothing but a fucking log. But Wyald's true power lies in his apostle form, which takes the shape of a hulking beast monkey that grants him immense strength, speed, and durability. He's able to rip men apart with his bare hands, crush armor like paper, and even tank multiple blows from Guts before finally being put down. So there's not a ton to say about Wyald's apostle form, other than the fact that it amplifies his physical strength even further, which was busted to begin with. So in this new form comes new speed, agility, and power. Wyald becomes a behemoth of a bulldozer, essentially clearing out anything and everything in his path. Wyald also has attacks that he named after himself. Think of Hercule Satan from Dragon Ball, like the Satan Punch. Except Wyald's attacks actually do damage. First, we have the Wyald Chop, which, to be honest, just looks like a regular karate chop, except it has the attack potency to split a tree in half. And there's also the Wyald Jump, a jump that allows Wyald to effortlessly scale to greater heights. So I think it's apparent from analyzing Wyald's skill set and different abilities that you could make a case for him being one of the stronger combatants in the Berserk universe. His raw strength and ruthless fighting style make him a force to be reckoned with. However, Mozgus, on the other hand, is no ordinary man either. After his transformation, Mozgus gains a near-impervious stone-like body. He has wings that grant him flight, and superhuman strength. In this form, he's nearly immune to all conventional weapons, and his crushing attacks can turn a human body into pulp. Moreover, what I think is most impressive about Mozgus is his utility. He has a wide array of attacks. So, to jump on into this, one of Mozgus' abilities allows him to breathe fire through his God's Breath attack, which essentially can incinerate anything that's caught up in the flames. Mozgus also has a set of large rock-like wings, which grant him the ability to fly, but they also double over to allow him to perform striking attacks, such as the God's Thousand Strike Cannon attack. So this attack essentially allows Mozgus to transform his feathers into fists, so that way he can beat Guts nuts. And speaking of Guts, Guts says that Mozgus is as powerful as an apostle, and if he's not careful, he'll be even tougher than one. So hopefully this statement should be some credence to debunking the argument that because Mozgus isn't a full-blown apostle, therefore Wyald would one-shot him. And also, I think it's worth mentioning that even before Mozgus transformed, he still possessed immense physical strength. He was able to kill one of his would-be assassins with a single book. But when Mozgus is in his angelic form, his strength increases exponentially, which allows him to crush bones and pulverize enemies with raw force. His attacks generate enough force to send people flying and cause massive destruction. I mentioned this offhandedly earlier, but I think it's worth reiterating just how insane Mozgus' durability is. He was able to tank multiple blows from the Dragon Slayer at close range, which is something that most apostles wouldn't be capable of. But I think it's obvious that Mozgus' strength doesn't come from his body alone, it comes from his unshakable faith. His belief in divine justice makes him completely fearless and immune to intimidation. Mozgus' fanaticism makes him a relentless foe to face in battle. This guy's not going to stop attacking you until he's completely destroyed. Despite his beastly nature, Wyald isn't an idiot. He's a war criminal with experience in battle. He knows how to use intimidation and deception to his advantage. However, he does lack discipline. His arrogance and bloodlust often make him careless, and that's ultimately his downfall when fighting Guts. On the other hand, Mozgus isn't a tactical genius either, but he is far more disciplined and unwavering. His intelligence comes from his ability to command his followers, utilize fear, and capitalize on his unshakable willpower. In my opinion, I don't think that Mozgus underestimates his enemies like Wyald, because in his opinion, every battle he has is a test of his faith. But to backtrack to Wyald, his biggest flaw is his arrogance. He enjoys toying with his enemies, and when things get serious, his rage overtakes him, making him reckless. And this reckless cavalier attitude leads to Wyald taking too many hits that he shouldn't be otherwise. And unfortunately for Wyald, he has shit durability, unlike Mozgus. The fight with Guts should have been easy for Wyald, nothing more than swatting an insignificant fly, and yet he got careless. He got so careless that not only did he lose the fight, but he also lost his dick. I really don't know what Wyald was expecting here. In the middle of a battle he was trying to slay and lay. A guy got a little cocky, pun intended. Okay, I'll shut the fuck up. But to sum it up, Wyald's recklessness and overconfident attitude got the best of him, which enabled Guts to outmaneuver and defeat him. But transitioning back to Mozgus, it's obvious that when you compare him and Wyald side by side, Mozgus has far greater durability than that of Wyald. However, Mozgus, your ass is not going to get off that easy. Although you have a seemingly invincible defense, it does have some critical weaknesses that can be exploited by a skilled warrior, which is something that Guts demonstrated when he ultimately killed Mozgus. Additionally, I think it's worth noting that the final blow to Mozgus came not just from Guts' blade, but also from the fire. So it's pretty evident that Mozgus has a fair amount of vulnerabilities. However, they do require a bit of strategy to exploit them effectively. While both of these characters are skilled combatants in their own right, they each have their share of weaknesses, which showcases that they're both far from invulnerable. So, who wins? At first, it might seem like Wyald has the edge. His raw power, unpredictability, and savage nature make him a terrifying opponent. However, Mozgus' sheer durability, his ability to fly, and most importantly, his unshakable resolve give him the ultimate advantage. Wyald is a beast, but he's still prone to emotion, recklessness, and overconfidence. Mozgus in his transformed state would be able to tank most of Wyald's blows, endure his brutality, and systematically wear him down. Now, I do think there is a win condition for Wyald here, but that's assuming that Wyald takes the fight seriously and just doesn't act like Wyald, which would be out of character for him, so, probably not likely. But you could argue that with Wyald's brute strength, it might be possible for him to crack Mozgus's rock-like body if he had multiple sustained attacks, similar to what Guts did with the Dragon Slayer. But I just don't see it happening. Guts was able to strategically figure out Mozgus's weak points through trial and error, but Wyald's reckless nature and reliance on brute force would likely work against him. It's more likely within Wyald's character for him to try to engage in a raw strength contest, and that's just one that Mozgus is built to withstand. Mozgus overall has more utility than Wyald, with attacks like his God's Breath attack giving him access to flames and also flight, but to be fair, Wyald has demonstrated some resistance to fire, so I don't really know if the God's Breath attack would affect him too much. At the core of this fight, durability is what truly separates Mozgus from Wyald, and it's the key reason why Mozgus would ultimately win. Both of these characters are physically imposing and capable of extreme violence, but when it comes to who can take more damage, the difference is night and day. When fighting Guts, Wyald was visibly damaged by swords and knives. Guts was able to slice through him multiple times. So to put it simply, Wyald is not particularly durable at all, and a direct hit from Mozgus in his angelic state would likely incapacitate him immediately. On the opposite end of the spectrum, Mozgus transforms into the literal brick shithouse, a wall of stone. Blades and conventional weapons barely affect him. And when Guts fought Mozgus, it took repeated high-impact swings with the Dragon Slayer, a sword that dwarfs all conventional weapons to even crack his hardened form. In closing, faith may not always conquer evil in Berserk, but in this case, I think the Zealot outlasts the Beast. The winner is Father Mozgus. Hey guys, Shane here, hope you're all doing well. Just wanted to thank you if you made it towards the end of the video. Really hope you guys like the series, and if you do, feel free to drop some characters down below in the comments section that you would like to see fight. Feel free to leave all the stupid suggestions you want. Honestly, it'll probably make me laugh, and you know what, even if they're not a fighter, who knows, I might end up covering them anyway. But as far as the matchup between Wyald and Mozgus is concerned, I think Mozgus would bend Wyald over and put him in the breaking wheel. This wouldn't be an easy fight, but I think Mozgus has got it. But hey, that's just my opinion, so feel free to tell me how bad my anime logic is in the comment section below. If you liked the video, please consider liking it and maybe subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers, so that's a pretty big milestone for me, and I couldn't be more thankful to everybody who subscribes and likes the videos. So, guys, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate it. Until next time, guys, I'll be back with a new Berserk video, but until then, take care.